Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how to make fabric labels without a sublimation printer. This time we're going to be using the Cricut Infusible ink pens. There are a couple ways you could do this, or more than what I'm showing, but I'm going to show you two different ways you can do this. And even if you can't draw, you're not a great artist, you can still make some really great labels. So let's get started. For the first method, I printed on laser jet paper or multi-purpose paper. This just seems to release the ink a little bit better, and I'm using my Cricut Infusible ink pens and I'm just tracing it. You're going to notice that when I printed it, I mirrored everything. So all the handwriting appears backwards. That's why I didn't just handwrite it or just hand draw it. I need everything to be mirrored. So it's easier for me to just print it, mirror it, and then trace it with the infusible ink markers. Now, of course, you're going to take your time. I'm doing this really quickly just for the sake of the video, but you want to take your time and make sure that you have your image traced fairly well and you have everything outlined. For the next method, I used my Cricut. I set up my design in Cricut Design Space, and then I chose writing style. I use the Cricut Sans font. It has a very nice single line writing style so that you don't get the outline of the letter. I made sure that the style was set to draw so that the Cricut would know that I want to use my infusible ink pens. I then sent it to the Cricut, making sure that mirrored was checked. I want to make sure and mirror my design. You can do that by clicking edit and then click mirror on the matte screen. And then I went ahead and let the Cricut draw it with infusible ink. You can use multiple colors of ink. You can set this up however you want, but you can see it works very nicely. Now I like to use the Cricut Fine Point infusible ink pens for this if you're going to use a writing font. I just think it looks a little bit nicer. So you can see how nicely our items printed out. So we let our Cricut mirror and draw out some labels. We've also created our own by printing it, mirroring it, and then tracing it with the infusible ink markers. Now, obviously I didn't do a great job. You're going to want to take your time and really do it. It's kind of hard to do it in a video because I'm leaning over the table and trying to see. But what we're going to do now is to put this on to a couple different substrates. So first of all, I just went to Walmart or Joann's and I have some 100% polyester. This is just a fabric scrap that I have left from yesterday's video. So we're going to use that. I also have the scrap that comes when you buy infusible ink. There's always it's a square of fabric. I used the other half, but you always get a square of fabric with your infusible ink, and that is a test square. So you can use that to create your labels. I also have some 100% polyester ribbon. I just picked this up at, it was either Joann's or Walmart, I'm not sure, but it's just 100% polyester ribbon. Very inexpensive, and I think I got this is the 1-inch wide ribbon. So we're going to try all of those. If you want to put it on cotton fabric or cotton ribbon, I will link a video up here where you can use a product called Poly-T Plus, which is what I have been using to sublimate on cotton, and it works really well. But for today's video, we're just going to stick with the polyester. It is perfect for sublimation, and infusible ink, the artistry markers, those are all basically a sublimation process. It's sublimation ink in the form of a pen. So the beauty of it is that you can create sublimatable products or projects without having a sublimation printer. So I've got my heat press covered with butcher paper. If you're using the Cricut Easy Press, you want to do the same thing. You're going to cover your surface with some butcher paper. That's going to catch any ink that might seep through the fabric and protect your mat. So I'm going to lay both pieces of fabric on here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to cut a piece of our ribbon. So let me cut that off. So I've just got a piece of the ribbon and I'm going to lay that up here. Actually, let me roll that real quick. All right, so we're going to put that up here. And now what I'm going to do is take this label and I'm going to place that on top of the big polyester square. And you want to use your heat transfer tape and tape that down. You don't want it to move. So I've got that into place. So it looks just like this. It's just the paper with the face down on top of the polyester taped into place. All right, I'm going to take one of our infusible ink pen designs, this one. If I can get it to focus. Well, you see which one it is. I'm going to take that and put it on the ribbon. And I think I'm going to go sideways. I didn't size that narrow enough to go the other direction, so I'm going to put it on there sideways. And I'm going to take that into place. And now I have my little scrap of Cricut Infusible ink fabric, which is basically polyester. I'm going to take the other Cricut Infusible ink pen design that we drew, and I'm going to place that face down and tape that one into place. So I have got everything taped down. I don't know if I can show you this without moving everything, but everything is taped down. All right, so the next thing you want to do is, again, you're going to cover it with another piece of butcher paper because that ink can come through the back of the paper. So we've got another piece of parchment paper. So we got parchment paper, our fabric, our designs face down, and another piece of butcher paper. I have my press set on 385. If you're using the Cricut Easy Press, you want to follow the Cricut heat guide, and I will have that linked in the description below the video, or I'll try to put a card up here. But if you're using the Cricut Easy Press, you need to follow the instructions, the time, and the settings for use with polyester fabric and infusible ink pens. It's going to vary whether you have the Easy Press 2 or the original Easy Press, so you need to follow those instructions. So I am going to press this at 385 on my heat press for 40 seconds. One of the most important things to remember is that anything that has lettering or a directional design needs to be mirrored. So you can't just handwrite. If you're going to handwrite, you need to handwrite it and then either scan it and mirror it, or turn your paper over and then trace it so that it's mirrored. That's the most important thing to remember. So we're coming up on our 40 seconds. I'm going to remove my butcher paper. Oop, this one came with it. So the first one we're going to test is my logo and my job at copying it, which wasn't really great. Like I said, I was doing that really quick for the video, but I kind of look like a pirate. But you can see the letters are the right direction when you're looking at it. So that's one way to make a label. Here is the Cricut Infusible ink fabric with our mirrored infusible ink drawing made by the Cricut. So that turned out really well. Oops, if I can get it to focus. All right, and then lastly we have our 100% polyester ribbon. And let's pull our design off. And you can see how well that turned out. And there's our 100% polyester ribbon. You can see how well that turned out. That would make a really nice label. So all in all, we had three methods, well, two methods, but we're using the polyester ribbon. We made labels on polyester fabric that came with our Cricut Infusible ink. And then, of course, there is the hand-drawn, and I love my pirate logo. So I hope you guys got some ideas for this. I know a lot of people want to make fabric labels, and this is a really easy way to make it without purchasing a sublimation printer. And these are permanent, washable. They're going to last forever. I think it'd be really cute to have the kids write their names and then be able to put the labels in their mask so that they don't get lost at school, or if they do, they know who they belong to. I put labels on the inside of Ace's mask. I don't like putting his name on anything, but I did put him on the inside of his mask at school. So just the first name. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to click that bell so that you're notified every time there is a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and happy label making. Never stop making. See you guys. Bye-bye.